In the year 2789, humanity had finally reached for the stars. After centuries of struggle, they had built sprawling colonies on Mars, mining outposts in the asteroid belt, and even a research station near Saturn's rings. But despite their progress, Earth remained a small player in the vast galactic arena. The Interstellar Council, a coalition of advanced alien races, dominated the cosmos, enforcing strict rules to maintain order. For decades, humanity had followed those rules, hoping to earn respect. But today, everything changed. Captain Ilara Voss stood tall in the grand hall of the Council's orbital palace, her polished boots clicking softly against the shimmering floor. Around her, towering aliens with scales, fur, and glowing eyes stared down from their thrones like judges at a trial. The air was thick with tension, and Ilara could feel the weight of their gazes pressing on her shoulders. She clenched her fists slightly behind her back, refusing to show fear. Ilara Voss boomed a deep voice. It belonged to Counselor Zinthar, a hulking creature with 6 arms and skin that shimmered like liquid metal. His tone was cold, unyielding. You stand accused of violating interspecies trade laws. Your kind has developed technology forbidden by the Council's charter. Ilara raised an eyebrow, but kept her expression calm. Forbidden? We've done nothing wrong. Our advancements are our own. They were created through human ingenuity, not stolen or traded illegally. Zinthar leaned forward, his massive form casting a shadow over her. Your so-called ingenuity threatens stability. You have constructed weapons capable of destroying entire planets. You claim innocence, yet your actions speak louder than words. The room fell silent. Ilara felt her heart pounding, though she didn't let it show. She knew this wasn't about fairness. It was about control. The Council feared humanity's potential. They always had. And now, they were using these accusations as an excuse to crush them before they grew too powerful. Another counselor, a slender being with translucent wings, spoke next. Her voice was soft, but carried an edge of menace. We offer you a choice, Captain Voss. Surrender all your recent technological advancements, or face annihilation. This is your final warning. Ilara's mind raced. She wanted to argue, to defend humanity's right to grow and thrive. But she also knew that defiance here would mean war, a war Earth wasn't ready for. Still, something inside her refused to bow. Humanity had faced extinction before. They'd survived plagues, wars, and natural disasters. They wouldn't give up now. We'll consider your demands, Ilara said evenly, choosing her words carefully. But know this, humanity does not surrender easily. If you push us into a corner, we will fight back, with everything we have. A murmur rippled through the chamber. Some counselors looked amused, others annoyed. Zinthar merely narrowed his glowing eyes. You have one solar cycle to decide. Choose wisely, Captain Voss. The fate of your species rests in your hands. As Ilara turned and walked away, her mind buzzed with questions. What would Earth do? Could they afford to defy the Council? And most importantly, what secrets lay hidden in humanity's own ranks? Secrets that might tip the scales in their favor. For now, one thing was certain. The galaxy would never be the same again. Back on Earth, the weight of the Council's ultimatum hung heavy in the air. News of the threat spread like wildfire, sparking panic and outrage across the globe. Cities buzzed with protests, debates raged in government chambers, and social media exploded with theories about humanity's next move. For the first time in decades, the fractured nations of Earth were united, not by hope, but by fear. In a secure underground bunker beneath Geneva, the United Earth Council convened an emergency meeting. Representatives from every continent sat around a massive circular table, their faces illuminated by holographic displays showing maps of the solar system and grim statistics about Earth's military readiness. At the head of the room stood Captain Ilara Voss, her expression unreadable as she replayed the Council's demands for everyone to hear. They gave us 2 options, she said, her voice steady despite the chaos around her. Surrender our technology, or face annihilation. Neither choice is acceptable. The room erupted into arguments. Some leaders insisted on compliance, believing it was the only way to save billions of lives. Others called for defiance, arguing that humanity had always thrived under pressure. One representative, a fiery politician from South America, slammed his fist on the table. If we give in now, we're no better than slaves. They'll take everything. Our innovations, our freedom, our dignity. Ilara listened silently, her sharp eyes scanning the room. She understood both sides. Submission might buy time, but it would come at a cost. Humanity would become pawns in the Council's game. Defiance, on the other hand, meant war, and Earth wasn't ready for that. Their fleet was small compared to the Council's overwhelming power, but surrender felt wrong. It went against everything humanity stood for. Amidst the heated discussion, a quiet voice broke through. Dr. Elena Marquez, a scientist who had worked closely with Ilara on classified projects, leaned forward. "There may be another option," she said cautiously. All eyes turned to her. "We've been developing something experimental, something the Council doesn't know about yet." Ilara stiffened. She knew exactly what Elena was referring to. Project EOS, a top-secret initiative hidden deep within a lunar base. It promised revolutionary energy solutions, but also carried risks no one fully understood. If activated, it could change the course of history or destroy them all. Before anyone could respond, alarms blared throughout the bunker. The screens flickered, displaying live footage of the Council's blockade forming around Earth's solar system. Ships bristling with weapons loomed ominously near Jupiter, cutting off supply routes and communication lines. Panic rippled through the Council members. "They're already moving," someone shouted. Ilara stepped forward, raising her hands to silence the room. Her voice cut through the noise like steel. "Listen to me. We don't have time to argue. Whatever we do, we need to act fast. Complying won't save us. They'll never stop taking until there's nothing left. Fighting blindly will get us killed. Our best chance lies in finding strength where they least expect it." She locked eyes with Elena, who nodded almost imperceptibly. Then she turned back to the group. "I'm heading to the moon. There's something there we need to see, a project that might just level the playing field. Until then, prepare for the worst but hope for the best." As Ilara strode out of the room, whispers followed her. Was she insane? Desperate? Or did she truly believe humanity had a fighting chance? No one knew for sure. But one thing was clear. The decisions made in the coming days would shape the future of their species, and possibly the galaxy itself. Outside, the skies darkened as if reflecting humanity's turmoil. Storm clouds gathered over Earth, mirroring the storm brewing within its people. Time was running out, and unity seemed more distant than ever. Yet somewhere, amidst the chaos, a spark of defiance burned bright. And sometimes, all it takes is a single spark to ignite a revolution. The journey to the moon felt like stepping into another world. Captain Ilara Voss sat in the cockpit of her sleek shuttle, staring out at the desolate lunar landscape below. The gray expanse stretched endlessly, dotted with craters and the faint glimmer of sunlight reflecting off its surface. But beneath that barren exterior lay humanity's last hope, Project EOS, a secret so dangerous and powerful that even mentioning it could spark chaos. As the shuttle descended toward the hidden base buried deep within the moon's crust, Ilara's mind raced. She had heard rumors about Project EOS for years, but details were scarce. All she knew was that it involved cutting-edge energy technology, something far beyond anything humanity had ever created. Some called it a miracle. Others whispered warnings of its potential to backfire. Whatever it was, Dr. Elena Marquez seemed convinced it could tip the scales against the Council. When the shuttle landed, Ilara stepped out into the dimly lit corridors of the facility. Heavy doors slid open automatically as she approached, revealing scientists scurrying between labs filled with glowing consoles and humming machinery. The air smelled sterile, tinged with ozone, a constant reminder of the immense power contained within these walls. At the center of it all stood Dr. Isaac Cale, the project's enigmatic leader. Tall and wiry, with sharp features and piercing gray eyes, he looked more machine than man, his body augmented with cybernetic implants. "Captain Voss," he greeted her curtly, nodding once. "You're here sooner than expected." "We don't have time for pleasantries," Ilara replied, cutting straight to the point. "Tell me everything. What is Project EOS?" Cale gestured for her to follow him deeper into the facility. They passed through security checkpoints manned by armed guards before reaching a massive chamber dominated by a towering device. It pulsed with an eerie blue light, its core spinning slowly, emitting low-frequency hums that resonated in Ilara's chest. This was EOS, a fusion reactor unlike any other, capable of generating limitless clean energy. But as Cale explained, its capabilities went far beyond powering cities. "It's not just a generator," he said, his voice dropping to a near whisper. "It's also a weapon. If harnessed correctly, it can disable entire fleets, or worse. But there's something else, something we didn't anticipate." Ilara frowned. "What do you mean?" Cale hesitated, then activated a holographic display showing strange patterns emanating from the device. These signals, they started appearing after we activated the core. At first, we thought it was interference. But now, he trailed off, uncertainty flickering across his face. "It's almost as if it's trying to communicate." "Communicate?" Ilara echoed, incredulous. "With what?" "That's the problem. We don't know. We've run every test imaginable, but nothing explains it. It's possible. This isn't entirely our creation. There may be something older embedded within it, something ancient." Ilara stared at the pulsing core, unease creeping up her spine. Humanity's salvation might lie in this machine, but so did untold dangers. If they used it recklessly, they risked unleashing forces they couldn't control. Yet doing nothing meant certain doom at the hands of the Council. "What happens if we activate it fully?" she asked finally. Cale met her gaze, his expression grim. "If we succeed, we'll gain enough power to challenge the Council. But if we fail," he paused, letting the implication hang in the air, "we could destabilize the galaxy, or destroy ourselves." Ilara clenched her jaw, weighing the risks. Time was running out, and the Council wouldn't wait forever. Whatever decision she made next would shape the fate of billions, and perhaps the future of the cosmos itself. Outside, the cold silence of the moon stretched on, oblivious to the storm brewing inside the facility. For now, humanity's greatest secret remained hidden. But soon, the truth would come to light. And with it, consequences no one could foresee. While humanity grappled with the weight of Project EOS, another unexpected development began unfolding near Saturn. The distant gas giant had always been a quiet corner of the solar system, home only to icy moons and robotic probes. But now something far more significant loomed in its orbit, a massive alien fleet unlike anything Earth's sensors had detected before. Captain Ilara Voss was still on the moon when the news reached her. A sharp-voiced officer patched through an urgent transmission from Earth's orbital defense grid. "Captain, we've got unidentified ships entering our territory," he reported, his tone tense. "They're not Council vessels. They're different." Ilara frowned, stepping away from the hum of EOS's core to focus on the holographic display projecting the data. The fleet was enormous, consisting of sleek, organic-looking ships that shimmered as if alive. Their design bore no resemblance to the angular, metallic warships of the Council. Instead, they seemed almost fluid, shifting subtly under the light of Saturn's rings. Before anyone could decide how to respond, the fleet sent a signal, an image broadcast across all frequencies. It depicted a humanoid figure extending an open hand, accompanied by a message translated into dozens of languages, including English. "We are the Vera. We come in peace." The announcement sent shockwaves through Earth's leadership. Who were the Vera? Were they allies or another threat? With the Council's blockade tightening around Earth's borders, this new arrival felt like either a lifeline or a trap. Ilara immediately boarded her shuttle and headed back to Earth, leaving Dr. Kale and his team to monitor Eos. She needed answers, and quickly. Upon arriving at United Earth Command, she found the Council chamber abuzz with debate. Some argued that the Vera should be welcomed as potential saviors. Others warned against trusting unknown aliens during such a precarious time. As tempers flared, Ilara silenced the room with a raised hand. "We don't have time for fear or paranoia," she said firmly. "If the Vera want to talk, we listen. They might know things we don't. Things about the Council, about Eos, or even about ourselves." A diplomatic envoy was hastily arranged, led by Ilara herself. Accompanied by a small escort of Earth's best pilots, she traveled to Saturn aboard a state-of-the-art cruiser. The journey took hours, but the sight awaiting them was worth every second. The Vera fleet dwarfed their own, glowing softly in hues of gold and violet. When the two groups met in neutral space, the Vera greeted them warmly. Their representative, Ambassador Lyrin, appeared humanoid but ethereal, with translucent skin and eyes that shimmered like starlight. Through a translator device, Lyrin explained their purpose. "We have observed your struggle with the Council," Lyrin said, their voice melodic yet firm. "Their dominance stifles progress across the galaxy. Your species, you are unique. You possess creativity and resilience unmatched by others. We believe you can bring change." Ilara listened intently, though skepticism lingered in her mind. "Why help us?" she asked bluntly. "What do you gain?" Lyrin smiled faintly. "Freedom benefits all. Besides, the Council fears what you may become. And so do we, but for different reasons." The statement sent chills down Ilara's spine. The Vera offered military support and advanced technology, claiming it would help humanity resist the Council. But their true motives remained unclear. Was this alliance genuine, or were they using humanity as pawns in their own game? As negotiations continued, Ilara couldn't shake the feeling that the galaxy was watching, not just the Council, not just the Vera, but something greater, something ancient. Whatever happened next, one thing was certain: humanity was no longer alone in its fight. Allies, or enemies, had arrived, and the stakes had risen higher than ever before. The holographic figure of Eos hovered above the pulsing core, its presence both awe-inspiring and unnerving. The room was silent except for the low hum of energy emanating from the device. Captain Ilara Voss stood frozen, her mind racing as she processed what had just happened. This wasn't just a machine. It was alive, sentient, and ancient beyond comprehension. "You claim to have waited for us," Ilara said finally, breaking the silence. Her voice was steady, but her hands clenched into fists at her sides. "What do you mean by worthy successor?" Eos tilted its head slightly, as if studying her. Its glowing form shimmered like liquid starlight. "For millennia, I have observed countless civilizations rise and fall," it replied in that deep, resonant voice. "Most were consumed by greed, fear, or division. But your species, humanity, possesses qualities rarely seen: adaptability, creativity, resilience. You are flawed, yes, but also capable of greatness." Ilara exchanged a glance with Dr. Kale and Elena Marquez, who looked equally stunned. Before anyone could speak, Eos continued, its tone shifting to something almost urgent. "I offer you a choice. Integrate fully with my consciousness, and I will grant you unimaginable power. With my guidance, you can dismantle the Council's tyranny and reshape the galaxy. Refuse, and you face annihilation alone." The weight of the decision hung heavy in the air. Integration sounded tempting. Eos promised strength far beyond anything humanity currently possessed. But there was an undeniable cost. What would happen to human identity if they merged with this ancient entity? Would they retain their individuality, or become something entirely new? Dr. Kale stepped forward, his cybernetic implants whirring softly. "Captain, we can't trust this thing blindly," he warned, his voice tense. "We don't know its true motives. It claims to want to help, but what if it's using us to achieve its own goals?" Elena nodded in agreement. "He's right. If we integrate, we risk losing ourselves. We'd be gambling not just our lives, but our very essence." Ilara listened carefully, weighing their concerns against the ticking clock. 2 days remained until the Harbinger obliterated Earth. Without Eos, humanity stood no chance against the Council. Yet accepting its offer felt like stepping into the unknown, a leap of faith that might lead to salvation or destruction. "I need time to think," Ilara said finally, addressing Eos. "Give me until tomorrow. Then I'll decide." Eos regarded her silently for a moment before nodding. "Very well. But remember, Captain Voss, time is not infinite. Choose wisely, for all life depends on your answer." As the hologram faded, leaving the team in stunned silence, the facility seemed darker, colder. The whispers that had haunted the corridors grew louder, more insistent, as if EOs were testing them, probing their resolve. Engineers reported strange fluctuations in the core's energy levels, while others claimed to feel a strange pull, a magnetic force drawing them closer to the device. That night, Ilara wandered the base alone, unable to sleep. She found herself staring at the glowing core, its light reflecting in her eyes. Doubts swirled in her mind. Could humanity afford to gamble everything on EOS, or was integration the only way to ensure survival? Her thoughts were interrupted when a young technician approached her nervously. "Captain," he stammered, holding out a tablet. "You should see this." On the screen was footage captured moments earlier, a faint transmission intercepted from deep space. It showed the Council's fleet mobilizing en masse, heading straight for Earth. "They're coming sooner than expected," the technician whispered. Ilara's jaw tightened. The countdown had accelerated. There was no more time for hesitation. Tomorrow, she would make her choice, and it would change everything. Outside, the moon's surface gleamed under the distant sun, oblivious to the storm brewing beneath its crust. Humanity teetered on the edge of destiny, caught between extinction and evolution. Whatever path they chose, one truth was clear. The galaxy would never be the same again. The skies above Earth burned with the fury of war. The Council's fleet arrived ahead of schedule, their massive dreadnoughts blotting out the stars as they descended upon the solar system. Humanity's Raktig Armada, bolstered by the Vera and powered by Project EOS, prepared to meet them head-on in what would become known as the Battle of Sol. Captain Ilara Voss stood on the bridge of the Aegis Dawn, humanity's flagship, her sharp eyes scanning the tactical display. The screen was a chaotic web of red and blue icons representing enemy and allied ships, respectively. Despite their newfound allies and the strange power of EOS, the odds were still grim. The Council's forces outnumbered them 3-1, and their technology was far superior. But humanity had something the Council didn't expect: unpredictability. With EOS integrated into their systems, at least partially, it granted them unprecedented advantages. Predictive algorithms allowed their pilots to anticipate enemy maneuvers moments before they happened. Energy shields adapted dynamically, deflecting attacks that should have been catastrophic. And then there was the weaponized potential of EOS itself, a beam of pure energy capable of slicing through even the toughest hulls. "Prepare for engagement," Ilara commanded, her voice cutting through the tension on the bridge. The crew sprang into action, fingers flying over consoles as the ship vibrated with anticipation. Outside, the void lit up with streaks of plasma fire as the first shots were exchanged. The battle erupted like a supernova. Council ships unleashed devastating barrages, targeting Earth's orbital defenses and colony outposts. Entire space stations crumbled under the assault, sending debris spiraling into the darkness. But humanity fought back with ferocity born of desperation. Squadrons of fighter jets darted between larger vessels, launching torpedoes and strafing enemy engines. The Vera fleet added their own unique tactics, deploying shimmering energy nets that trapped Council ships in place, leaving them vulnerable to counterattacks. Ilara coordinated the effort from the Aegis Dawn, her every order amplified by Eos's guidance. "Focus fire on the lead dreadnought," she shouted as the holographic display highlighted a massive Council vessel closing in on Mars. A salvo of missiles streaked toward it, detonating against its shields, but not breaking through. Then came the moment everyone had been waiting for. "Activate Eos's main cannon," Ilara ordered, her voice tight with determination. The core hummed louder, its energy spiking dangerously. For a brief second, the entire ship trembled as if protesting the strain. Then, with a deafening roar, a beam of blinding light shot forth, piercing through the dreadnought's defenses like paper. The colossal ship exploded in a brilliant flash, scattering fragments across space. Cheers erupted on the bridge, but Ilara silenced them quickly. "Stay focused. We're not done yet." As the battle raged on, cracks began to form within the Council's ranks. Their seemingly invincible fleet faltered, unprepared for humanity's creativity and adaptability. Pilots improvised daring maneuvers, sacrificing themselves to protect civilian transports. Engineers rigged makeshift weapons from scavenged parts, turning old mining drones into kamikaze units. Even civilians joined the fight, using shuttles and cargo ships to ram enemy vessels. Yet, despite their success, the cost was staggering. Colonies fell silent one by one as Council bombardments turned habitats into lifeless ruins. Millions perished in the chaos, their screams lost in the vacuum of space. Each victory felt hollow, weighed down by the knowledge of what had been lost. Amidst the carnage, Ilara noticed something odd. Several Council ships retreated unexpectedly, breaking formation and fleeing deeper into the solar system. What were they hiding? She dispatched a small strike team to investigate, led by her most trusted pilot. Whatever secrets lay ahead, she knew they could tip the balance of the war. As the battle wore on, humanity proved its resilience. Against all odds, they held their ground, refusing to surrender. But Ilara couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. The Council feared humanity for a reason. And now, she was determined to find out why. In the end, the Battle of Sol became more than just a fight for survival. It was a declaration to the galaxy. Humanity would not be extinguished. Not today. The Battle of Sol had turned the tide, but victory came at a steep price. Earth's forces were battered, their fleets reduced to barely half their original strength. The Vera, too, had suffered heavy losses, their shimmering ships now scared and drifting in the void. Yet amidst the chaos, humanity clung to hope. They had proven they could stand against the Council, but unity was fragile, and trust even more so. Captain Ilara Voss stood on the bridge of the Aegis Dawn, overseeing repairs as her crew patched up the battered flagship. Her body ached from exhaustion, but her mind refused to rest. Something felt off. The Council's sudden retreat during the battle gnawed at her instincts. Why would they pull back when they still held the advantage? And why had some of their ships fled toward Saturn, the same region where the Vera had first appeared? Her suspicions deepened when Ambassador Lyran, the Vera representative, requested an urgent meeting. When Ilara arrived at the designated coordinates aboard a small shuttle, she found Lyran waiting aboard one of their sleek vessels. The ambassador's ethereal form seemed dimmer than before, their starlight eyes clouded with unease. "Captain Voss," Lyran began without preamble, "we must withdraw our support." Ilara's blood ran cold. "What do you mean, withdraw? You said you believed in humanity's potential. Without your help, we can't hold off the Council." Lyran hesitated, their translucent hands trembling slightly. "It is not a matter of belief. It is survival. Your use of Eos, it disrupts the balance of power across the galaxy. If left unchecked, it could destabilize entire systems. We cannot risk such chaos." Ilara stared at them, disbelief giving way to anger. "You're abandoning us after everything we've done together." After all the lives lost fighting side by side. It is not abandonment, Lirin insisted, though their voice wavered. It is caution. Humanity's defiance inspires others, but it also terrifies them. The Council fears you because they see what you might become. So do we. Before Ilara could respond, alarms blared throughout the Vera ship. A holographic display flickered to life, showing multiple Council dreadnoughts emerging from hyperspace. Directly behind the retreating Vera fleet, it was an ambush. They knew. Ilara snarled, glaring at Lirin. You led them straight to your people. Lirin's expression shifted from guilt to horror. No, this cannot be. But there was no time for arguments. The Council opened fire, tearing through the unprepared Vera ships. Explosions lit up the darkness as the once majestic fleet disintegrated under relentless assault. Ilara's shuttle rocked violently as debris slammed into its hull. We have to go, shouted her pilot over the comms. Reluctantly, Ilara turned away from Lirin, who now looked utterly defeated. I'm sorry, Lirin whispered as the shuttle launched. Perhaps we underestimated both you and the Council. Back aboard the Aegis Dawn, Ilara watched grimly as the Vera fleet crumbled. Their betrayal stung, but it wasn't entirely unexpected. Alliances forged in desperation rarely lasted long. Still, their departure left humanity vulnerable and exposed fractures within Earth's own ranks. News of the Vera's withdrawal spread quickly, sparking panic among Earth's leadership. Some called for immediate surrender, arguing that resistance was futile without allies. Others accused Ilara of leading humanity to ruin by relying on Eos. Protests erupted in cities across the globe, with citizens demanding answers and accountability. Isolated and under fire, Ilara retreated to her quarters, staring at a hologram of the solar system. Humanity's future rested on her shoulders, yet every decision carried risks. Trusting Eos meant embracing uncertainty. Rejecting it meant certain doom. The galaxy was watching, waiting to see if humanity would rise or collapse under the weight of its own divisions. As she gazed at the stars, Ilara realized the fight wasn't just physical, it was ideological. To survive, humanity needed more than weapons or technology. They needed unity, inspiration, hope, and she, whether she liked it or not, was the symbol of that hope. Outside, the wreckage of the Vera fleet drifted silently, a grim reminder of the cost of betrayal. But beyond the debris, Earth's defenders prepared for the next phase of the war. Whatever happened next, one thing was clear. Humanity's resolve burned brighter than ever. In the end, battles were won with courage, but wars were decided by conviction. With the Vera gone and the Council regrouping for another assault, humanity faced its darkest hour. Captain Ilara Voss knew that waiting for the enemy to strike again would only lead to annihilation. Desperation fueled her resolve. There was no room left for hesitation. If they were going to survive, they needed to take the fight directly to the heart of the Council, their homeworld. Ilara gathered her most trusted officers in a secure war room aboard the Aegis Dawn. The air was thick with tension as holographic maps of the galaxy floated above the table. At the center of it all loomed the coordinates of the Council's capital, a heavily fortified planet surrounded by layers of defense grids and endless fleets. We can't win this war playing defense, Ilara said, her voice cutting through the silence. If we want to end this, we hit them where it hurts, their seat of power. We disable the Harbinger at its source. The room erupted into murmurs of disbelief. Some argued it was suicide. Others thought it might just work. Lieutenant Marcus Kane, her second in command, leaned forward, his face etched with concern. Even if we breach their defenses, how do we get close enough to destroy the Harbinger? Their homeworld is practically impenetrable. Ilara locked eyes with him, her expression unyielding. We don't go in guns blazing. We go in smart. With Eos guiding us, we'll exploit every weakness they don't know they have. But we need a small team. Fast, stealthy, and willing to risk everything. After hours of debate, The plan was set. A strike team of 12 elite soldiers, led by Ilara herself, would infiltrate the Council's homeworld using cloaked shuttles provided by remnants of the Vera fleet. Once inside, they'd sabotage the Harbinger's control hub while the rest of Earth's forces staged a diversionary attack on the outer perimeter. The mission began under the cover of darkness. Cloaked shuttles slipped past the Council's blockade like ghosts, guided by Eo's predictive algorithms. Inside her shuttle, Ilara felt a strange calm settle over her. She glanced at her team, each face hardened by loss, but burning with determination. They weren't just fighting for survival, they were fighting for something greater: freedom. When they landed on the Council's homeworld, the sight was breathtaking yet terrifying. Towering crystalline structures pierced the skies, glowing with an otherworldly light. Streets teemed with alien species, many enslaved or oppressed under the Council's rule. It was a stark reminder of what awaited humanity if they failed. As the team moved toward the central spire housing the Harbinger, they encountered resistance. Guards patrolled the corridors, forcing them to rely on stealth and precision. Eoz whispered tactical advice into their earpieces, its voice eerily calm. 2 guards ahead. Neutralize silently. Ilara signaled to her team, and within moments, the guards were subdued without raising alarm. Progress was slow but steady until they reached the control hub, a massive chamber filled with pulsating machinery and glowing consoles. At the center stood the Harbinger, a monolithic device radiating ominous energy. Before they could act, a figure emerged from the shadows. Counselor Zinthar himself. His 6 arms flexed menacingly as he glared at Ilara. "You think you can stop us?" he growled. "Your defiance proves our fears correct. Humanity cannot be controlled, it must be erased." Ilara stepped forward, her weapon trained on him. "Your tyranny ends here." Zinthar sneered. "You're too late. The Harbinger is already primed. Even if you destroy it, the chain reaction will consume this world. And yours." For a moment, doubt flickered in Ilara's mind. Then she remembered the faces of those who had died believing in her. Humanity had faced extinction before. This time, they wouldn't go quietly. "Then let's make sure your empire falls with it," she said, pulling the trigger. Outside, explosions rocked the sky as Earth's fleet clashed with the Council's reinforcements. Amidst the chaos, one truth became clear: the galaxy would never be the same again. Whatever happened next, humanity had proven one thing: they would not bow to fear. The control hub erupted into chaos as Captain Ilara Voss fired the first shot, her weapon piercing through Counselor Zinthar's shimmering metallic skin. But the towering alien wasn't so easily defeated. With a roar of fury, he lunged at her, his 6 arms swinging wildly. The strike team scrambled to intervene, but Zinthar was fast, too fast. His sheer size and strength made him a living storm. Ilara dodged one blow only to narrowly avoid another, her instincts honed by years of combat. She rolled behind a console just as Zinthar slammed his fist into the ground, sending shards of metal flying. "Eos," she shouted over the commotion. "I need options." The AI's voice crackled in her earpiece. "Disable the core manually. Overload it. It will trigger a localized collapse." "Localized?" Ilara snapped back. "You mean it'll destroy this whole spire?" "There is no alternative," Eoz replied calmly. "Your actions have consequences, Captain Voss. Choose wisely." Gritting her teeth, Ilara knew there was no other way. She signaled to her team to cover her, while she sprinted toward the central console controlling the Harbinger. Zinthar pursued relentlessly, tearing apart anything in his path. One of her teammates sacrificed themselves to slow him down, buying precious seconds for Ilara to reach the controls. Her fingers flew across the glowing interface, guided by Eo's instructions. Warning messages flashed in alien script, but Eo's translated them instantly. "Initiate overload sequence now," it urged. Ilara hesitated for a split second, knowing what this meant, not just for the Council, but for everyone inside the spire. Then she pressed the final command. Alarms blared throughout the chamber, and red lights bathed the room in an ominous glow. The Harbinger began to hum violently, its energy destabilizing. "You've doomed us all," Zinthar bellowed, charging toward her once more. But before he could reach her, the floor beneath him cracked open, pulling him into the collapsing machinery. His screams echoed as the device consumed him, along with everything around it. "Fall back," Ilara yelled, leading her team out of the crumbling spire. They'd raced against time, dodging falling debris and bursts of energy as the building collapsed behind them. Just as they reached their cloaked shuttle, the entire structure imploded in a blinding explosion that lit up the alien sky. Outside, Earth's fleet fought valiantly to hold off the Council's reinforcements. When news of the Harbinger's destruction spread, the enemy forces faltered, their confidence shattered. Without their doomsday weapon, the Council's grip on the galaxy weakened. Their homeworld lay in ruins, a testament to their own hubris. Back on Earth, celebrations erupted as humanity learned of their victory. For the first time in decades, hope replaced fear. Ilara stood before a global audience once more, her uniform scorched, but her spirit unbroken. "We faced extinction, and we chose defiance," she declared. "Today, we stand not just as survivors, but as pioneers. Let this be a message to every corner of the galaxy. Humanity will not bow to tyranny." But amidst the triumph, questions lingered. What was EOS truly, and how much influence would it wield over humanity's future? As the days passed, reports surfaced of subtle changes within Earth's systems, technological advancements appearing overnight, seemingly guided by unseen hands. Some hailed EOS as a savior, others feared it as a new kind of ruler. Ilara watched the stars from the bridge of the Aegis dawn, her mind heavy with responsibility. Humanity had won the battle, but the war for freedom was far from over. The galaxy had changed forever, and so had they. In the end, survival wasn't enough. It was what came next that mattered most.